Okay, we're going to take our torso slopers and create our basic jacket foundation. So I've got here both my front and my back for my torso sloper. We want to make this just slightly enlarged so that like it can be layered over pieces, because jackets are typically not worn alone. So the first thing I'm going to do is we want to transfer excess from our darts. So side dart on the front and shoulder dart at the back body. We want to transfer those to two places, those being the neck and the armhole. So first two slash lines we're going to draw. Start with the front here. And again, everything always to the apex as a pivot point. If your apex is not marked, remember that's about an inch up from the actual tip of your fisheye, so that first fisheye. So we're going to draw a slash line mid-neck down to apex, and then mid-armhole to apex. And then the back's a little bit tricky. We want to be able to shift from this dart, but we've got to bring that dart to a great pivot point. I'm going to just square it down. I'm squaring it with my center line, so I'm keeping it parallel to that. This will give me a slash line. I'll highlight it here. Slash line from here, and that'll help me ease into the armhole. But like I said earlier, we're also aiming for the neckline, so mid-neck to this pivot point. So that'll be our pivot point here on the back. We're just gonna cut into those. Now we do want to close this back shoulder dart. You just don't want to add a lot of unnecessary bulk, and sometimes darts can do that. So while they are shaping to the body, it just adds a lot of extra layers that aren't really necessary, especially for a jacket that's, you know, it's not necessarily made to be so fitted to the body. So we're again closing this shoulder dart. So I'm working on the back body right now. I'm gonna close that dart. And then what is standard is that shoulder dart is gonna be a 1/4 inch total. But you will have to figure out a way to equalize your fullness within the mid armhole and in the neck, which is absolutely fine. It's gonna give us an 1/8 of an inch estimated in the neck and an 1/8 of an inch estimated down here in the armhole. I know we've talked about this before. Necklines can't take a lot of excess in them. It just starts to drastically change the shape of it, and that's not our goal. But we're gonna do now for the front. So I know we did an 1/8 of an inch here at the back neck hole. So for the front neckline, I'm gonna give a 1/4 inch spacing here. So rather than balancing, I'm gonna just give a 1/4 inch. I know that's the maximum that I am willing to give here. So I'll just write a 1/4 inch down. And we've talked about this before. Oops, forgot to cut a slash line from side dart to the apex. I know we've talked about this before. Armholes can take a lot. So even though we've only got an 1/8 of an inch extra in the back armhole, leave it for now. I'm gonna give 3/8 of an inch here at the front armhole. So the excess does not necessarily have to match, but you'll see here in a moment that I will make up for some of that difference. Okay, so I've got 1/4 inch of the neck, 3/8 inch spacing given at the armhole, and that helps close up this dart here just a bit. So this will not be entirely closed, but we're gonna work, last step will be to match our side seams. But first, let's give ourselves some room for ease, room for movement. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I wanna lower our necklines. I'm going to do that by just 1/8 of an inch front and back. And that just, it's for comfort. Because again, these are layering pieces most often. So it just gives a little more room for ease. So we're bringing that neckline down 1/8 of an inch. The next move we want to make room for is shoulder pads. I feel like a lot of the time when people think of shoulder pads, they automatically think of the 1980s. That's not our goal. It just really, we want to add shape. We want to look, we want some formality to a jacket. We don't want it to look slumpy. So we want to make room for that shoulder pad. It is a gradual shape to it. So it's, while we have more of a bump, I guess you can call it, at your actual shoulder tip, it tapers back to the neckline. So it's very complementary to the body. So when I'm drafting that, I want you guys to keep that in mind. So I'm going to bump up my shoulder at the neckline by 1/8 of an inch. But then when it comes to my armhole, I'm going 1/4 inch. But I do want you to understand that when I'm coming up 1/4 inch, it is because I'm planning for 1/4 inch shoulder pad. So if you wanted something more drastic, and by all means you can, just keep that number in mind. That is my reason for why we're bumping it where we are. And then also, just to give a little more room, we've got to push out our armholes right here at the shoulder tip. And this is a bit more standard, just 1/4 inch. You don't want to get too sloppy with it. So while this has relevance coming up for the shoulder pad, coming out does not have so much relevance from the shoulder pad itself. So it is just to give a little more breathing room in here. I know I talked about earlier, we've got a little bit of difference in ease added into the armhole. The back body is interesting because you want your arms, typically move to like hug yourself, but you don't always put your arms behind your back. So there's a couple different reasons why we're going to add 1/4 inch out from the existing armhole here. So it helps give us a little more like shaping to create just a equal balance front to back. And it gives us room to hug ourselves, hug our bags, hug others. So we're making up that difference here. Whereas the front, we want to, I'm gonna try drawing with my left hand. We want to meet this down to the existing line of the lower half of the armhole. So you can blend from that outward line to the first existing line here, the most outward one. The next thing we need to do is we want to lower our armhole seams, and that gives ease within the arms. So I know a lot of the time we talk about ease in terms of body width, but we also need to have ease within the armholes themselves. This just gives us room to easily slip our garments on and off without it feeling tight in the underarm. We can lift our arms above our head if we need to. Just many different reasons for that. So I'm going to drop 1/2 inch here. And then we do also need to give ease to the overall width as well. So that's just kind of 1/2 inch, which, this is 1/4 of the actual garment here. So that will equal, inch on the hole. And then you can keep some bend in your waist, but know that you do not have to, especially for jackets. I know that they came kind of from the world of menswear. So it is kind of a more mannish shape. So you can choose to either keep this dip in at the waist or straighten it out completely. Just for my demo today, I'm gonna just bend it in, just to note that the entire body width absolutely has to increase by 1/2 inch. And we'll do that same front to back. So again, I'm lowering the armhole by 1/2, while at the same time increasing the body width by 1/2. So out 1/2 and down 1/2. And then I'll just make some quick notes here for the shoulder pad. So up 1/8 of an inch at neckline, up 1/4 inch at shoulder tip, and those same rules apply front to back. And then just do not forget to bump this out by 1/4 inch at the mid armhole line, or high back line, whatever you guys want to call it, here at the armhole. But otherwise, that is all we're looking at. Make sure you walk out your side seams, and remembering that these are figured for your body to hit like at a balanced level at your center. So your adjustment should definitely just come from the side, and try to leave your centers alone if at all possible. And then darts can either simply be eliminated. I never choose to put a back dart in any suit jacket. You will sometimes see a dart on a front bodice, or the front of the jacket, men's and women's. So it's actually not just tied to a women's jacket, and that is completely designer's choice there. But for this demo, I'm just gonna go ahead and nix them out. But know that those are an option to keep. And if you do, I would just choose one dart over two, because again, this is a layering piece. So there's your torso front and back, and in a moment, I'm gonna get set up and I'll show you the sleeve.